Okay, so I think we can get started. Ada is not joining us today, so I will take up the responsibility to host the call. She sent the agenda for today's call. I think everyone have had a chance to look at it. So today we are going to have a retrospective review of the sprint ending today. We are going to start a new sprint, and then we shall receive implementation updates from LAC, CDM, and CDFS teams. So let's look at the current sprint. And I'll begin by asking whether there are any issues or bloggers anyone would want to raise about the current sprint. So, Sweta, from your team, are there any issues you'd like us to talk about?
Nothing about the sprint, Simon. I think it went okay, and we don't really have any issues with the way this last sprint was.
Okay. CDSS team.
Okay, Sabai, we had an issue about location during the initial setup of mUzima. When you add the location, you are not given the drop-down list to choose location from. So we wonder how we are going to use that feature.
Yeah, so if I may ask, before we give our response, did you encounter this? Were you trying to test something? Maybe if you can give us more information.
Yes, I was able to test registration form.
Yeah.
And I filled the form completely, but now under registration, it was blank, but I was able to save it successfully.
Okay.
Without location.
Okay. So you're asking, you like to know how to use the add location feature in
Yes.
the initial setup, in the initial wizard.
Yes.
Sita, could you kindly talk about it? I think you are the person behind this.
Yeah, can you please repeat that question? Is it Robert? Can you repeat what the question was about location? Sorry, we don't have any.
I think the question is that while they were testing some tickets, they found the feature to add locations. I think we recently introduced the feature to download locations onto the mobile device while you're initially setting up the device. So what the CDSS is asking for is basically, I think, some information on how to use the location, the add location feature.
Okay.
So yeah, they just want some general information of how to work with it.
Okay, sure. So, just correct me if I'm wrong. We basically want to understand how to use the add location feature on mUzima, right?
That's correct.
Okay. So, I think it's Ruth. So, how it works, Ruth, is basically when you are going through the wizard, that is the first time that you install the app, you know how we have that page that says download cohorts and then download form templates. After you select the form that you want to download, you will be taken to another screen which says that download location. Based on the form that you have downloaded, there will already automatically the application will download some locations to your device. But let's say you want to add another location apart from those that are shown on the screen, you can use the text, the search bar on top, and start typing which location name you want to download. And when you type it, it will basically get it from the server and store it onto your device. And you just proceed, and then once you have those locations, you can just say next and complete the wizard. Once that is done, whenever you open a form to fill out and you try to fill the location field, it will give you a suggestion based on what you entered. It will suggest all the locations that you have downloaded on your device. So there are two ways where you can download a location onto your phone. One is when the wizard is executing, and after that, because the wizard only runs once in the lifetime of an application when it's freshly installed, you can always go to the settings page, and under settings there is an option where you can download a location and add it to your device. So these are the two ways where you can add a location to a device. As long as it's on the server that your app is connecting to, you should be able to download it onto your device and select that value as a valid location in any of your forms that you fill out. Does that make sense?
What you mean, if you don't download location, you'll not be able to see it on the form?
You should be able to see it. Actually, the form changes are not yet. I mean, I just issued a pull request for the form changes, so you should be able to see it. And even if those are not there, if you add it dynamically, you should be able to see it. But what you can do is, can you just show me how you're testing it? Because I can't see how you're testing it. Can you tell me how you tested it?
So that is fine. I think we are going to test more on add location and provider, then we are going to update.
Okay.
Yeah. After download
But
button.
this when you went to the add location page, what did you see on the screen? Did you see it was empty? There were no locations.
Yeah, thank you, Suita, and thank you, Robai. Um, I think, as you pointed out, Robai, it will be good for you guys to understand that process. Um, After which you will update the manuals. I think you guys have been working on the documentation on how to use mUzima. So since this is a new feature, previously we were not downloading providers and locations to the device. So moving forward, I think it will be very helpful for if you guys update the documentation. Thank you. Any other comments or questions? Maybe from Achana or Win about the sprint ending today?
I think I'm fine. I'm sorry. We can do the short sprint next, just like suggested by Ada, Simon.
Okay. Thank you.
So, Kitty, just wanted to just bring one thing up. I think on Friday's call, we sent out that email about CI and CD. And I was supposed, I don't know if we factored it in to today's call because we have so little time, but I just basically put together a short PPT on CI and CD, and I wanted to just, I remember mentioning it to Ada, but she must have forgotten. Um, but I wanted to quickly run through that slide and just cover a little bit about CI and CD. I don't know if we have time for it. What do you guys feel?
Well, she did not include in the agenda, but I think you can do it right now. If you can give the update before we look at
Or
another.
I can do it right at the end when after we're done with all the sprint planning and everything that we were supposed to do. Let's see
Okay.
how much time we have, and then I can quickly run through the slides.
Okay, that's cool. I just want to open up so cool. When I don't know if you can help me out on the short sprint we are setting up. Um, I don't know whether there are any new tickets we are introducing in the short sprint. Um, just share my screen.
Savai, can you hear us?
Yeah.
Hello?
Yeah, I can hear you, Derek.
What was your question again?
We want to look at the upcoming tickets in the new sprint. So I believe all the non-closed issues in the current sprint would go into the upcoming sprint. So I'm just showing them on screen. So looking at this, I can see all the tickets have been pointed out. There are no new tickets we're introducing. So we are not going to point any tickets. So basically what you're going to do next is to start up the new sprint. So when I was asking, I don't think I have the needed rights so that we set up the new sprint. I don't know whether Win, you can help me out on that.
Yeah, I can close the sprint and then create a new sprint for us.
Okay. So the new sprint is going to be a short one, as suggested by Ada. It's going to be a 1 week short sprint. Hopefully, we shall use the chance to complete any pending tickets. Unless somebody has some comment or some objection to this. So Win shall go ahead and help us set up that new sprint. Next on agenda, now we have Sweeper and we also have implementation updates from LAC, CDM and CDSS. So maybe if you can just take a short time to get the updates and then finally we finish by Sweeper telling us about the continuing the CI. So Derek, do you have any implementation updates?
As for now, I would say really nothing much to do with implementation. The only thing that we are remaining with, and why not updates in implementation, is because most of the CHWs out there in the field have been involved with the Ministry of Health duties, and we've not had a chance to interact with them at the moment. What we were thinking as LAC to do is maybe after this week, after the 25th of this particular month is when the CHVs will be available, and that's when we'll continue with implementation.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Win. CDSS, any update? Any other update apart from what you gave?
Savai?
Yes, Derek. I'm asking, does the CDSS team have any other update from what they gave earlier?
I think they have an update. Does the CDSS have any other update?
Okay, go ahead.
Maybe Win, this is yours. You know, I've been trying to work on teleconsultation and I'm still experiencing a bit of problems. So maybe just a question. I've seen you've updated the teleconsultation form on GitHub 6 days ago. Should that be the one we are using at the moment? And then the teleconsultation module, I think the one on GitHub is a bit outdated because I'm seeing like 2 years ago. Win, could you get me?
Where are you getting the form? Is it from the test server or?
Actually, what I'm using right now, the form that I'm using right now, I got it from GitHub, the mUzima GitHub page.
Did you upload it to?
Yeah, I uploaded it to the
Test
test server,
server?
to the mUzima test server.
Oh, okay. Then that means you're getting the latest one, I think.
Well, so far, that is the latest one. Because I'm trying, when I submit the teleconsultation form, on the server side, I'm not able to see the form, because the form is supposed to be processed into an encounter first before it goes, before it becomes a consultation. Am I wrong? I think I'm right about that.
Yeah.
So I'm not able to see the consultation from the server side, and I'm not even able to see the form on the error queue. So I'm wondering where the form goes to.
I can have a look at the form first.
Okay, sure then, thanks.
Thank you, Eric. I think lastly, we'll give Sweeta the chance to give updates about CS. Sweeta?
Yeah, hi Simon. Can I share my screen?
Yeah, go ahead.
We can't hear you in case you're talking.
Oh, I'm just getting the thing up. 1 second. Can you guys see my screen? And do you see like a slide which says continuous integration on it?
No.
What do you guys?
Sweeta, I was able to see it, but now it's turned black.
Okay, just a second. Can you guys see it now?
No, you cannot see.
Is it just black? Not sure what you guys can see.
It popped up and then it went off again.
How about now?
Yeah, I can see it.
Okay, I'm not sure. Maybe when I play it, you guys are not able to see. So I'm just going to show it like this. Um, so basically, just wanted to talk about I'm not sure how many of you are aware of continuous integration and what it is. So I just want to just do a quick run through on what continuous integration is and why it's useful for any team that's developing code. So it's basically whenever let's say that as of today we have multiple repositories and there are multiple developers. We're all working on code and we commit our changes every day. But I think we when we build all the changes because of varying people working on the same code base, there could be integration issues. So, and they could be caught much later, which could lead to a lot of problems. So, because of that, we have a concept called continuous integration was introduced, where basically we have a dedicated build machine where every time any developer or any member on the team commits or make changes to the code base, we build the application or whatever your deliverable is, we build it again and make sure we catch any kind of compile time errors and things like that, or any errors that could be caused because of you not having the latest code, for example. So those kind of issues are detected much earlier, and each time we do a build, we actually have we're hoping that there are lots of tests, and we run the tests as well to see that the functionality wise, nothing is broken on the application, right? So the benefits that CI offers is that you can detect problems early. So if you've committed code that could cause a problem, you detect it much earlier. And because the build is done every time you commit code or every time there's a change in the code base, you immediately get feedback saying that, hey, whatever you checked in, the build broke. Instead of waiting for maybe like a much longer time where we have to go back in time and revert code and go back in history and see which version of the file actually caused a bug or something to break, right? That's another benefit of CI. You pretty much immediately know if you've done something wrong or you've introduced a bug, or it's much faster in the feedback cycle if you have CI, because you're continuously integrating your code and you're continuously testing it. There's no lag between when you commit the code and when you commit your changes and when you actually get feedback about whether your change is causing a problem or it's not. And the third thing that CI offers is easy integration, in the sense that we don't have to be totally dependent on, let's say that someone else committed code, and then it becomes like a real pain for the person who's merging code and making sure that he or she incorporates all the changes and keeps the file still in a good stable state. And the other benefit of CI is it increases visibility in the team, because every time we commit code or change the code, there's a build that is run, and anybody who is going to commit code after that basically should check what was the last status of the build. If there was an error or the build was broken, the golden rule is that you don't commit till the error is fixed. So in that way, you're not like committing code to a build that is already broken. As soon as you find something is wrong, it's the responsibility of the team to make sure that the build is successful again, and don't commit any new code over what is already existing and causing a problem. And reduced time in debugging and finding out what went wrong, because you catch it much earlier in the cycle. Like as soon as you commit code, instead of waiting, maybe sometimes if there's a bug which could have been caught by a functional test, or it only got got noticed by a tester, or maybe even worse in production, those kind of issues could be caught much earlier in the cycle. So continuous integration, basically every time there's a person who commits code and every time there's a change, you fire off a build, you get the latest source code, and you just build everything and make sure that everything is successful. And at all points the build should be green. If not, you should like take the time to actually make sure that the build is green. By green, I mean like successful build. So how do we achieve continuous integration? So we basically have something called a continuous integration pipeline, wherein you analyze like all of the modules in your code and you figure out which for in our example, like which repository is dependent on which repository. So a simple example would be like we have a search API repository which does all the Lucene stuff like looking up records on the phone or updating records, deleting patient data and things like that. And then we have a mUzima API which is dependent on search API, which has all the controllers and things like that. And mUzima API makes a call to search API. And then on the topmost layer we have mUzima Android, which is dependent on mUzima API. So we basically analyze the code and find out which modules are dependent on each other, and then you build or you design your CI pipeline in such a way that if there's a change in search API, then I have to rebuild mUzima API and rebuild mUzima Android as well, because the the executables or the jars what is generated, they're all dependent in this fashion. So this is a pictorial representation of how we design the CI pipeline. So if you see the search API, whatever the search API generates executable, mUzima API is dependent on it, and whatever mUzima API generates, mUzima Android is dependent on it. And we have OpenMRS modules also. They're kind of interdependent in the sense that whenever we try to install the OMods onto OpenMRS, if we don't do it in the right way, then it flags an error. So OpenMRS mUzima registration is dependent on whatever it generates. mUzima forms is dependent on it, and then we have the processor module. So each of these sections that you see, like the one in green and the light green and the orange, these are all kind of logically independent from each other, but inside each of those sections, they have some kind of order that we have to follow. And we can abstract out any of these things and say that this can be run as a separate build, functional tests could be run in a separate build, and OpenMRS modules could be run as a separate build. So we started off by just drawing this thing, and then we went on to figure out what kind of tools that we would be needing. And when we say functional tests, basically what we do at that point is after generating the APK through the build on top using Search API, mUzima API, and mUzima Android, we generate the APK and we install it on either a device or an emulator of some sort. And then we plan to write RPM tests, which are kind of like tests that are recorded, and we identify a few core workflows in the mUzima application. Like let's say that the wizard start to finish is one core workflow, and another workflow could be finding a patient, opening a form, filling out the form and saving it as complete, and then maybe going to the forms page and uploading it to the server. So you can actually identify what are the core workflows in mUzima that you always expect to work. We may not be able to cover every possible scenario or use case of mUzima, but at least the major ones we cover and we record tests for it. And these tests are run each time there is a change in the code, right? So the basic idea is, as long as whatever your changes you're doing, if your unit tests are running fine and your functional tests are running fine, you're in a better off position. And the chances of you breaking or having a bug is much lower. So then we went on to just survey the various CI tools that are available in the market, and we used cost, and we used these factors to evaluate and research about them. One is the cost of the tool and the pipelining ability of the tool and the ease of deployment and how easy it is to set up the tool itself, and maintainability. If it's a nightmare to maintain, maybe then we will move away from CI. So which is what we don't want, because we were hoping that this will be something that will be part of mUzima for a longer period of time, and it will help mUzima itself. And customizability. And we evaluated these 4 tools, which is Jenkins, Travis, Bamboo, and CodeShip. So in Jenkins, the pros are that it's open source and it's widely adopted and used. It's probably one of the most popular CI tools, and it has a huge user base and a community. So if we run into any issues, we can always reach out and we'll find a lot of information online to help us sort out what the issue is. And it's not as expensive as the other tools, and it costs about $50 to run 2 concurrent jobs on DigitalOcean. And it's very easily customizable, and it supports pipelining, which is what we need, and also supports deployment. And one other thing that we want to do is, for the functional tests, we want them to run in parallel because they take a long, each functional test takes a long time. So if every time we commit, like let's say that we have 6 functional tests and each functional test takes about 5 minutes, 6 into 5, that's about half an hour. That's too long of a wait time between committing a change and getting feedback on whether the change was okay or not. So we want to reduce the time between the commit and the feedback. So because the only way to do that is we parallelize the tests so that all the tests are running in parallel and we get done much faster, and the feedback is also received much faster. What is not good about Jenkins is it's a little complex to set up in the beginning, and it's not as user friendly as the other tools. Right. So then we moved on to Bamboo, and Bamboo, I think we already have, since we're already using Jira, it's an easier license to get, and it also integrates with GitHub. It supports pipelining and it supports deployment, and it's easy to set up. But the problem with Bamboo is it's not very customizable, and it's paid, and it's costs much more than Jenkins, and it does not have the option of allowing us to run function tests in parallel. And then we looked at Travis. Travis also integrates with GitHub and it's easy to set up, and it supports deployment, and it's free for open source projects. But one caveat there is that I think they have about 250 or so build agents. So because it's open source and it's free, there are many projects which are using Travis as a CI server. So if you commit your code and your build job or your request gets queued up, and we don't have any control on when it will get run. So we can't really have a fixed estimate on what is the time interval within which you will get feedback about your build, whether it was broken or whether it was successful. The problem with Travis is if you want all of those features, it becomes a paid service, and it doesn't have pipelining support, and it's really expensive. It costs about $129 for 2 concurrent jobs, and still doesn't run functional tests in parallel. Then we also looked at CodeShip. CodeShip integrates with GitHub, and it's easy to set up. It supports deployment and pipelining, and it's really simple to use as well. Again, CodeShip is a paid service, and it costs about $49 for a concurrent job, and then they don't have anything in between. The next option is only $250 for 3 concurrent jobs. So they have, I don't know why they priced it this way, but it doesn't make sense for us because it's really expensive. And even at the end of it, they still don't have the option of allowing us to run function tests in parallel. So based on all of these factors that we evaluated, we found that Jenkins is probably the best option for us, and we came up with these are the requirements, or these are the basic tools that we will be requiring. We will need at least one CI server dedicated for Jenkins, and then we'll need one server where we will host OpenMRS, and that server will basically have test data, and the test data should not be disturbed because we'll be running our test against this test data, and but this is again an optional thing. If we want to cut down further on our budget and how much we want to invest in CI, we can always use a test server as well. And then we need 2 build agents for Jenkins, and which will basically customize or run your builds in parallel, like something like a matrix, a build matrix of some sort. And we'll also have 3 functional test runners for parallel test runs. And we checked online, and for all of these, it'll cost approximately about $70 per month. So, the end of the day, this is what we think is the best case scenario for us, and it's also not really expensive. Just wanted to share it with you guys and just get your feedback on whether you guys are like, do you all have any feedback? Do you all have any ideas or suggestions on how this could be done differently?
I think this is a good job, Super, you've done. It's very informative. At least we can understand what it takes to do this. So there's a question from, yeah, cool. From Win, whether you can send the slide to Ada. I think it is very important to share with her because uh, eventually she should be part of the decision making process. Thank you. Yeah, looks like we don't have more comments. Any other issue? Thanks, Will. Any other agenda or issue somebody wants to raise?
Yeah, I just wanted to bring this one thing up. I'm not sure if you guys have noticed it. This is not related to CI or CD, but when I was testing the histopathology form, I'm running into an exception, and it's only on the histopathology form. Basically, I'm getting some kind of an exception where Lucy is not able to get a native file system lock. I mean, do you have any idea what? Because I'm really lost and stuck on it. I've been trying to work on it for some time. I'm sorry, I'll just speak slowly.
Yeah, Super, we can't hear you correctly. I don't know whether you can.
Okay, I'm just speak slower. Can you hear me now?
Yeah, that's better now.
I have been testing the histopathology form, and I've been running into this error where Lucene cannot obtain a native file system lock on like a write lock, and it's throwing an exception. It only happens whenever I try to fill out a histopathology form and I try to save it as complete. But because it's throwing an exception from Lucene, I'm not sure how to debug it and I'm not sure what is causing it. So I just wanted to just check if anyone else is facing this issue and wanted to also check with you when whether do you have any ideas what could cause this? Because I've been stuck on it for some time now and I'm not able to figure out what could have caused it. Do you have any ideas? Yes, only on the histopathology form. Every other form is working fine.
Sorry. I think I can have a look at it, Sweta, and see what's going on. Is
Yes,
it
please.
on GitHub, the form?
Yes,
The latest one on the GitHub.
right.
Okay.
Correct. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thanks, Win and Sweta. Yeah, if there are no other topics for discussion, I think we'll have to end early.
Maybe Savai, before you end, we had the tickets for Huawei issues, blockers. So maybe we can get an update on that.
Yeah, about the Huawei Y210.
Yes, yes.
Yeah, I think a ticket was raised by Kiran. I'm not aware of whether there's any work done.
Okay.
Maybe I can also pose a question to Win. Win, hi. This is Derek speaking.
Yes, Derek.
Yeah, I think I want to address something to Win. My first question would be to ask how much internal cache does mUzima hold in terms of storage, memory storage?
It's stored locally, so it's up to your internal storage capacity.
Also, it's stored locally. That means if I clear the data, then it means my cache will be empty.
Yeah, everything will be gone if you do that.
Okay, this question arose in the LAC team, and the solution I told them is maybe to empty their memory such that if there is anything that they've stored there that is not work related or maybe study related, they have just to remove everything such that we can increase the size of the cache. So thanks. I think I'll have to communicate back to them. Thank you.
Yeah, okay.
I appreciate it.
Thank you, Derek. Ruth,
Yes.
or was it Florida? To answer your question about the Huawei Y210, there's a ticket. Okay, I can't find the ticket number, but I can see CDA Med 77. I think this is not the one we are talking about. Let me look at this. Let me look at it after this. Then I can probably communicate the update about that.
Savite is 296 and 297.
mUzima 296, 297.
I see.
You get it? Savai?
Yeah.
You got it? It's here. It's mUzima 296 and 297.
Oh yes, I've seen it. So it's noted on the current sprint. We shall look at it after this, and then we determine whether probably it will come in the next sprint that begins next week, because the current sprint is a very short one. So we'll look at it and understand the requirements, and then probably include it in the next coming sprint.
Okay.
Thank you. Okay, so I guess that's it for today. Let's meet again on Friday.
Okay.
On Friday sprint.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Cool. Bye, everyone.
Bye.
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 Bye.